Welcome on into a Broncos Breakdown Mailbag edition. I'm answering questions that came in during our live show, which aired on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Mountain Time. Before we get to our first question, quick reminder for this video and every video, hit that thumbs up button down below if you haven't already. Angel Martin, first question. If running back gets addressed, what do you have the Broncos going record-wise? Let's say they address running back with either Caleb Johnson or Omarion Hampton. I still think they are around a 10-17, which I know some people feel like that is not a big enough improvement from last year. I also feel like a lot of AFC teams improved, right? The Raiders became somewhat more competent by bringing in an actual head coach. The Chiefs are not going to go away. Harbaugh and the Chargers with year 2 under him, they're going to have more of that Harbaugh culture. And, well, they swept Denver last year. So I'm going to stick with 10-7 for Denver in 2025. Alex Hunt, thinking Vaughn could come back and be a great bridge leader. Like DeMarcus Ware was for Vaughn. The question is, does he even make the team with a competitive roster like our edge? Let me ask you this question, Alex, and everyone else watching. If Von Miller played a decade for the Cincinnati Bengals, would we be talking about him right now? No, we wouldn't. We're talking about him because he's a Broncos legend, and it'd be a nice storybook ending for him to come back to Denver. Does anyone really believe Vaughn can contribute at a high level worth a roster spot or a spot in the rotation? Personally, no. After the season he had, or the last 2 seasons, I'm going to say unlikely. But if you feel like he could be a great leader, a roster spot could be worth, a leader could be worth a good roster spot. So, Alex, I'm going to advocate for probably not, but I can be convinced. Kenneth Bennett. What do you think about Walter Nolen, Trenton Henderson, and Cam Skattebo as the first 3 picks? I like Walter Nolen. That's the Ole Miss defensive tackle. I really think that Denver could look to investing in the interior defensive line if they can't get their preferred running back or tight end in round 1. Cam Skattebo, circling back to him later on, I don't think he's going to be, this is going to sound mean. The tough thing about the draft is if you come across as like a Grinch towards players, you just sound like a hater. But if I was a hater for some of the bad picks over the last few years, it wouldn't sound bad right now. But during the draft, I'd sound like an absolute Debbie Downer. I don't think Cam is going to translate to the NFL as well as we think he will be. I think he's going to be best preserved as a college football player, and it's not going to pan out for him well in the NFL. Aiden, how many running backs do you think we should draft? I'd go with 1. You drafted 1 last year in estimate. Have you given up on him already? Probably not. So you got him. You've got 1 rookie this year, and then that leaves Tyler Bidet, Blake Watson, and Jaleel McLaughlin battling for that 3rd RB spot. If you want to take 4 running backs, then you could draft 2. But if you draft 2 running backs and you're going to keep Estime, you want 4 backs? And if so, which of the 4 you're going to keep? McLaughlin, Bidet, those are the 2 leading candidates in my eyes. Smile High. Any chance the Broncos trade for Brandon Aiyuk? I have seen some chatter about the Niners being interested in moving Aiyuk, which is crazy to think about because they just gave him a contract extension. He's coming off a torn ACL and MCL, and a lot of people in Broncos country wanted Denver to get Cooper Kupp. They wanted them to get a different receiver, and the Broncos have not made any notable receiver acquisition. I don't think Brandon Aiyuk is going to change that. I don't think Brandon Aiyuk, player coming off a major knee injury, someone who I don't get the sense would be a good Sean Payton locker room fit, is a player the Broncos want to trade valuable draft capital for and take on the remaining years and guaranteed money in his contract. So I would put the probability of Aiyuk coming to Denver very, very low, and it's a trade that I could do without, to be honest with you. For the Broncos. Other teams, I could see it making more sense. For Denver, unless you can get him for, pennies on the dollar, I'd pass. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think it'd be a good idea for the Broncos to trade for Brandon Aiyuk? Give me a yes or give me a no. I'll say no. I could see other teams being like, hey, we could take a risk right now. For Denver, I just don't think the fit with Sean Payton is right. King of Drums. What is your favorite Denver Broncos head coach of all time? Because mine is Gary Kubiak, and I also love Mike Shanahan too. For me, it's probably a tie. I'd go between Nathaniel Hackett and Josh McDaniels. Just some great, brilliant, offensive-minded people that were terrific leaders. They played the game the right way. They never cut corners, no cheating. In the offseason, they, prioritized proper workouts, and they are just people that all other coaches in Denver history should try to emulate. Juwan Powell, if we sign Von Miller back, what role would he play with us having good edge rushers already? I think he'd play the role of, if an injury pops up on the first guy you call, and if you want an additional pass rusher on 3rd and 15, I can give someone a breather. I could hop in and just help out 5 to 10 snaps. But even in that situation there, I'm comfortable with Jonah Ellis having that role. I want to see him develop more. I don't want to see him sit on the sideline because, we got to play Von. We signed him. Yeah, but he's not the future. Jonah Ellis, I think, could be a huge part of this defense for years to come. We got another question coming in from Folksy Prince. If you could bring in any player for the Broncos, who would you choose? Okay. These are questions that you're in the peak of the offseason for. Can we just agree to throw out quarterbacks? Because at that point, you guys know the answer. So throw out quarterbacks. Man, if I could, pick up a player and place him on Denver's roster at a position of need, like obviously Justin Jefferson would be sick, right? Or Jamar Chase. Maybe like Saquon Barkley, but maybe I decide to go younger. Jamar Chase on Denver would be chills. AC, I believe that running back Lequint Allen could be a later round value as an insurance policy. What do you think? I'm not really caught to speed on Lequint Allen, so this gives me some homework for the weekend, and I can give you a better answer on Allen as we get closer to the draft. But no, I won't lie to you and just pretend to know who he is. I'm not going to go full Stephen A. And was it Hunter Henry with the Chargers? He's like, he's having a great year. It's like, oh, does Stephen A. know? He kind of got injured a while ago. Yeah. AC, appreciate the question, though. I'm sorry I don't have a better response. King of Drums, do you think maybe if we didn't get a star running back, instead we could draft Trevor Etienne or Montrell Johnson Jr.? I really hope that by the end of the first 2 days of the draft, the Broncos are not still searching for a running back. I'd be very hard-pressed to find a way to say, yeah, Denver's done a good job so far. And that's when these guys are going to go. So I don't want to go down that route. They better walk away with the back after the first 3 rounds of the draft. All right, before we sign off, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you haven't yet, scroll on down, click that sub button. Appreciate everyone for tuning in, joining today's mailbag. I do think we have a quick offer for our friends over from Fanatics, Mr. Moose. So we're going to tell them all about that, and then we can sign off and get on out of here. But if you are looking for some Broncos gear, go check out chatsports.com/DEN hat. They've got more than this hat. This hat's just an example of what they have. It's 70% off. I know it's warming up, but trust me, in the fall and winter, you'll thank old you for getting this awesome hat, which is usually around $40 for less than $10. So check it out. I put this link in the comments and description of today's video. That's going to do it for us on today's mailbag. Subscribe, like the video on your way out the door, and I'll see everyone tomorrow.